Hey everyone, this is Turd Flinging Monkey. So this is part 3 of the Red Pill Grief Cycle. I wasn't going to make a part 3, I thought the series was done. I split it into 2 parts simply to keep the ringing bell clips away from the main video. My reasoning being that if the ringing bell clips were flagged for copyright, I wouldn't lose the entire video, just the separate video with those clips. And while I received a lot of positive feedback from my Red Pill Grief Cycle Part 2 video, I did get a few comments from people who just need help finding what their new purpose is. I also remember receiving similar comments to my Into the Wasteland video. Now my typical advice has been just to think about what you would do if you didn't have to work for money. If you won the lottery, if you had all the money you would need to do anything you wanted, what would you do? Now of course everybody's going to answer, they would sleep in, they'd quit their job, they'd go get drunk at the beach, they do things like that. But after a few weeks or a few months, even that would get old. You see this all the time with these retirees. They work for decades, they finally retire, they hit the golf course, and then they just get bored. After a few months, they just like, this is boring as shit, I want to go do something. So there has to be more to your life than leisure. So what are you going to do with all this time you have now that you don't have to worry about money? Now I thought that was a good thought experiment, just to get your wheels turning, just to get you thinking about what you would do with your life if you could do anything. However, it's obviously not a perfect answer because I am getting people who respond to my videos, and they just can't think of anything. They can't think of what they would do. In fact, some of them are in this period now. They've accepted that they're going to walk away from relationships and women, they're going to go MGTOW, all that fun stuff, but they don't know what to do with their life. They don't have anything to fill that void. And if you don't have that hope, that something, whatever that thing is, to fill that void, you're going to get depressed. You're going to be filled with nihilism, where you just have nothing to live for. You may even slip back into the valley of suicide, figuring that if life isn't worth living, why live at all? So I have another tool which will hopefully help you discover what this new meaning and purpose to your life could be. And this comes from a kind of personality test called the 6 Human Needs. Now this personality test is very straightforward. I'll provide a link in the description. I want you to take this test. And what this test is going to do, it's going to tell you where you fall based on the 6 human needs. And these needs are certainty, variety, significance, love, growth, and contribution. And these are multiple choice questions. You just answer them yes, no, or maybe. There's about 80 questions. And at the end you'll get a result, and I'll post mine on the screen. You can see that I score highest in growth. I score lowest in love. And everything else is kind of in the middle. If you look at my top 3 things, you have growth, contribution, and variety. And if you consider that, what I'm doing makes perfect sense. I'm trying to help people, I'm trying to learn things, I'm trying to understand human nature, relationships, society. This is my expression of growth. I'm also contributing to the MGTOW community and the larger manosphere. This is my contribution. And you can see in my channel, I do all kinds of different videos. I do podcasts, I do regular MGTOW videos, I do economics videos, I review sex toys. This is my expression of variety. So you could look at these results, compare it to what I do on my YouTube channel, and you can see how I'm expressing this in my own life. Now how you score on this test and the needs you find the most important are going to vary. If you get different results than me, it doesn't mean you're better or worse than me. You're just different. You're your own man. This is where the road to self-actualization leads. This is why you can't really have a mentor when it comes to self-actualization. The road to self-actualization begins and ends with yourself. You need to understand yourself. Once you understand yourself, once you understand your needs, then you need to move towards expressing those needs and self-actualize. So if you score extremely high in growth and contribution like me, you may find fulfillment and self-actualization through something like a YouTube channel. Helping other men, contributing to the manosphere, doing what you want, living your life 0 fucks given. However, what if you score higher in another category? What if you score high in significance and contribution? Well, then you might want to be a famous scientist, maybe the next Tesla, the next Leonardo da Vinci. These are things you could do as a MGTOW. You could find significance becoming a scientist, a philosopher, contributing to the body of work of mankind. What if you score high in certainty and love? This may mean your calling is to serve others, maybe even join a religious fraternity, become a priest or a monk, and not a MGTOW monk, but an actual honest-to-God monk. Go serve in a church or some kind of religious body. It doesn't even matter which religion it is. And it's important to note that most religions recognize that in order to serve God with your whole being, you can't be married. So this fits perfectly into MGTOW philosophy. Now you're still more or less sacrificing your life for something else, but this may be what's important to you. If you score highest in love, this means you're going to define yourself through your relationships. So going your own way to the extent where you really just don't care about others isn't going to mesh with your personality. Now, if you can't reorient yourself to not care about love, it just may be part of who you are. I scored high in growth and low in love. That's just who I am. Could I change? Possibly. It would be extremely hard, extremely painful. If you could find significance in self-actualization without painful change, so much the better. So perhaps if you score extremely high in love, think of a life of service. Join some group, even a charity if you're not religious. You can serve your fellow man and find meaning and purpose in that. The point is, the goal of self-actualization isn't an end goal. It's a state of mind. Somebody asked me in a podcast, it wasn't live, it was after the podcast was over, but we were still talking. He asked me if I was self-actualized myself. Think of the red pill grief cycle not as a linear path where once you move forward, you can never move back, but more like a traffic circle or a rotary in Europe. You're always going around. You may have moments where you slip back into the red pill rage, where you slip back into depression, where you need to lean on your brothers. This doesn't mean you're no longer self-actualized. It just means you're human. You're going to keep moving. Life never stops. But one of the best ways to know you're self-actualized is if you're happy. If you feel fulfilled in what you're doing now, just simply ask yourself, are you happy doing what you're doing? If you could, would you do something different? If the answer is yes, if you're not happy where you are, if you're not happy doing what you're doing and you'd rather do something else, then make plans, come up with an actionable strategy to get where you want to go. You don't have a wife or a family holding you back. Everything is internal. You are in complete control of who you are and where you are. So if you don't like where you are, then move. If there's something you want to do, make a plan and do it. And constantly check in with yourself once you've achieved what you set out to achieve. Ask yourself if you're happy, if there's something else you'd rather do. Now, if you score high in variety, you may constantly be moving back and forth between different things. You may achieve something only to get bored and want to achieve something else. Good. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're happy, as long as you're self-actualized. And this is why when somebody leaves the MGTOW community, when they decide to shut their channel down and disappear, I don't count that as a loss. I don't count that as, oh, he went back to the blue pill world, he gave up. His path may simply be different. His road to self-actualization may take him away from the MGTOW community, and that's fine. Ultimately, MGTOW is a philosophy, and it's up to you to incorporate and internalize that philosophy, but you still need to be true to yourself. Any parts of MGTOW philosophy which prevent you from self-actualization should be rejected. Not rejected by everyone. You shouldn't come back and talk about how MGTOW philosophy is bullshit and everyone should reject it. It just means that for you, your path to self-actualization may not incorporate all the facets of MGTOW philosophy, and there's nothing wrong with that. Incorporate what helps. Incorporate what benefits you in your life, which helps you self-actualize and be happy. And whatever doesn't, leave behind. And the beautiful thing about that is nobody can take it away from you. People can take away your wealth. People can take away your status. People can take away your freedom. But they can't take away your identity. They can only try to get you to give it up. And this is why I've done several videos on tribal identity and why it's so damaging and dangerous. You need to cultivate your own internal sense of identity, your own internal sense of validation. You have to self-actualize. The purest expression of a man going his own way isn't some guy on YouTube talking about how much women suck, talking about the end of society and how feminism is bullshit. That's not the purest form of MGTOW. The purest form of MGTOW is a man going his own way, living his life, and he's happy. And he doesn't need anyone. He doesn't need a woman's validation. He doesn't need the tribe's validation. He's a man going his own way. This is Turd Flinging Monkey. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.